All right, in this video, we're going to do Isometric 3, which is kind of this weird, funny little shape here. So again, of course, we start apart. Start our 2D sketch by clicking the pencil in the upper left corner. I like to start with the front, so I'm going to click the XY plane. And then when you draw this one, you have to kind of have a plan of attack. It's got a lot of funny little pieces on it, but I'm going to draw that front view. So I'm drawing this view down here. Sorry, that was the top. Here, the front view. I'm going to draw that whole shape, that kind of funny looking, I don't even know what it is. Shaped flag, I guess, that's laying sideways. Okay, so I'm going to do that by drawing a couple rectangles together. And I can see, and it's easier for me sometimes to count using my multi-view since we've drawn a multi-view. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up, and I'm going to draw just this first kind of square part, which is also 5 across. And remember, you can do the multiplication in Inventor, so I can do 5 times 0.25 tab, or if you know that's 1.25, you can just type 1.25. And hit enter. And again, it makes it so big you can't see it. So click your view cube front. It zooms it back in. I got to make, excuse me, I got to make this little piece that sticks off to the right hand side. It is 3 across and 2 high. So I'm going to start right here. When we get the green dot, click and move out. So it's 3 across, which is 0.75, 2 high, which is 0.5. And now we have that flag shape. And so I'm going to go ahead and finish my sketch. Okay, now we got to decide what we're going to do because we have this thickness. Are we going to make it all the way through and cut some off? Or are we going to make just this thin part and add on the pieces? I think at this point, for me, I'm just going to make that skinny little part from the right-hand side. So I'm going to only make it 1 thick, and then I'm going to add on this little part and that little part on the front. There's lots of ways to do this. It just depends on how you see it. But this is how I'm going to do it. So I'm going to extrude. I want to extrude this part and this part, but I'm only going to go 1 thick, like I said. So it's only going to be 0.25. And say OK. And it looks like, oh, I have nothing. So now I'm going to put this little step that sticks out on the front, right? That little piece that sticks out on the front right there. So I'm going to draw a new sketch on this front, and I want a rectangle going all the way across. Okay, so I'm going to start here. I'm going to go all the way across to there. So I want it 2. Okay, and you can type in 2, which I think is easier, and then the 0.25 because it is 1 square high. And then that's all I need for this part of my sketch. So I'm going to finish my sketch. I'm going to extrude that part. Since I had 0.25 last time, it remembered, and it just gave me the same. So I say OK. And now you can see, oh, it's starting to look like it now. But now I got to draw this little bump on the back. So I'm going to hold down my Shift key, push the scroll wheel, and that allows me to spin it. It doesn't matter how I spin it, just so I can see the back. Right click, new sketch, and zips around. And I'm going to click my view cube, bring it down in the center. It helps me see it. I think it's nicer. You don't have to do it, but it makes my life easier, I think. So again, I'm going to click my rectangle, draw it across. I know it goes all the way across, which was 5, remember? And then we have to decide how far down it goes. It goes down 2. So 5 is 1.25. 2 cubes is 0.5 because everybody's 0.25. And I'm done, so I'm going to finish that sketch. Okay, I'm going to look kind of a better view there. I'm going to extrude that thing. And this time I want to go 2 back, so I'm going to change my 0.25 to 0.5 and hit enter. Okay. And there we go. Now it's starting to look kind of like what I want. Now we just need a couple holes. Okay, now we're going to use this circle and cut. We're not going to use a hole at this point. We've never learned that feature. And so we got to go make these holes. Now when we look at it, they are 0.25 in diameter, both of them. So I'm going to draw the one on the front first. So create my new sketch on the front and bring it down in the middle. I'm going to make my circle. I'm going to kind of just draw it anywhere, and then I'm going to dimension it to get it where it needs to be. So I need that diameter. We do 0.25. There's my hole. And then I'm going to measure to the center. Right, so to the center, it is 1 cube down. So I'm going to click dimension. I'm going to click the center. Then I'm going to click the edge that I'm measuring from, which is the top. I'm going to pull this thing to the side, click, and now I can type. And it's 1 square down. So that is 0.25. And now I got to do it from the left side. It is 1.5 squares in. Okay, so that one's a little tougher. We're still on dimensions. We're going to click the center. And now this side, we're going to drag up. And 1.5 is 0.375. I believe you can do 1.5 times, times 0.25, not divided by. And it'll do it for you. So if you have trouble doing that math in your head and don't want to get out your calculator, just type it in. Inventor does all the work. Once we have it where we want it, we finish the sketch. We're going to extrude that thing. We want to cut it, and we're going to cut it all the way through. Click OK. And now if we shift to the front, by clicking the front, look, there's my hole all the way through. I click the house to get back to the isometric. Now we got to cut this other hole up in the top, so I'm going to right click on the top and say new sketch. And again, I'm going to draw my circle. Doesn't really matter where, because I'm going to dimension where it goes. It's 0.25 again, right? It's one square across, so that's 0.25. Hit enter. Now I got to go back to dimension, and from the back side, okay, it is 1 square to the center, so it's 0.25 to the center. Again, click my center, click the back, which seems like it's the top, but it's actually the back of the cube, or not of the piece. It's not really a cube. 0.25, and then let's go from the right side this time because it's closer. It's 1 over. Okay. So now I'm going to do my dimension again. Go from this right side here, drag up, click, 0.25, enter, and now it's placed where I want. So I finish my sketch. I extrude again. Again, I don't want to go up. I want to cut, so go here to the output cut. And again, I want to go all the way through, and then click OK. And now if I look and I turn it around, you can see my holes are all the way through, and everything looks wonderful. And now you are all done drawing the part. Click your file, save, and save it as Isometric 3.